Dzogchen Today podcast. Welcome to Dzogchen Today's podcast. This series of Dzogchen in everyday life is designed for us to get more familiar with the Dzogchen view and what it can bring in our daily life through personal sharings and short practices.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Dzogchen in Everyday Life podcast. I'm Marie-Laure and I am your host today. So as a continuation of the series, The Relief of Emotion on a Daily Basis, we are dedicating few episodes on families of emotion directly linked to ongoing climate change. So to discuss this topic, I'm very happy to welcome Mila Khyentse Rinpoche.
Hello, how are you?
Yes, I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, not bad today.
Good. So thank you for being with us. So before we start, let me introduce you briefly. So you are a trained scholar, consultant and teacher of Dzogchen, and you have been traditionally trained in the Himalayas and in Europe, and you are a lineage holder, which is a man or a woman responsible for the living transmission of the Great Perfection teachings.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So Rinpoche, we are living in a world that is evolving very fast. I mean, the conditions are changing rapidly, and we can observe that of course, on an economic level, political, also social, but also climatic and ecological. And what does the evolution of these conditions that seems external to us generate in us? And of course, there are several types of reaction that's impossible. And in this episode, we wanted to focus especially on the family of emotion of frustration, anger, and also opposition. So to start with, could you maybe explain what is meant by frustration and anger related to changes in conditions, which can sometimes also lead to contestation? And what it is, why, and how it manifests, and what impacts it can have on our personal lives.
Mm-hmm. Actually, it's quite simple, but we never acknowledge that usually in our daily life, is that we are engaged in as you said, in a rapid, quick evolution on a global basis, especially with the climate change and all the conditions that develop from it. And we just experienced the fact that we are losing more and more things, more and more conditions, and our daily lives in general on Earth are becoming more and more difficult. We have all the time news, from countries who have really heavy natural disasters, and it's spreading everywhere. Even in Europe, where it was more balanced climate, now it's really evolving to something that we even don't know, because we don't know what will happen in a few years and in some decades. So this leads to inner situation, inner reaction, that we do not want things to change. So this is the main point for the anger we just experienced, because we don't really want, and it's normal as human beings, we just have the habit to live in a certain way, to be able to go to travel, to do a lot of things. But what we are experiencing now, and what we are seeing it more and more, is that our conditions diminish in terms of freedom. They just shrink, and just they just lead us to less and less possibilities. So it's difficult for us as human beings to, and especially in the West, because just the idea of freedom is so huge. It's really the basis of all the way of life we have, and so this loss of freedom more and more is just creating more reaction, and especially emotional reaction, really linked to anger, rejection, opposition, because we do not want just, it's purely logical. We do not want our Earth, the place we are living on, just to be destroyed and being, just disappear after a while, because we won't have any possibility to just live on, and that's it. So this is quite an inner reaction. We just never linked the fact that with the evolution of the conditions, we are just reacting to this evolution, and so this reaction is really linked to our emotion, because it's as human beings, it's the way we just express ourselves. There is of course our ideas, our speech, the way we talk, but most of all the reactions we have are emotional. And so just being witnesses that things are disappearing and things are more and more going to be destroyed, then we react. And what kind of logical reaction we have? We oppose this reaction. We don't want this to happen, just our place, our living place, just to be destroyed. The normal reaction is that we do not want this to happen. So this creates for us really a state of unbalanced emotion that is more and more continuous. It means that the more news we see about climate change, about earth destruction and so on, and our living place destruction, the more this reaction, anger, just root in ourselves, and it becomes a continuous emotion. So it's really difficult in the end to get rid of that, because it's at the base of all our experiences in life, and so our life is becoming more and more difficult then.
Mm-hmm. So that's why maybe we can observe that many people say that have the impression that people are under tension, and that there are more and more tension in general among people. So that could be that could be an explanation of why people are getting more tense nowadays.
Yeah, for sure. And there is also some specialists who talk about the frenziness of the living conditions, the constant stress of the living conditions. Like we are running from something, but we don't know we are running from. So this is the main point here. There is a really huge change that is coming. It's just happening, but usually the human reaction with change, and especially with huge changes, is to deny it, because we are just afraid of that, and we do not want this change to affect our lives everywhere, and that's it. So we do not want this to happen, so we do not acknowledge it, but we just experience this as a really strong emotion, like anger or frustration, because at the basis we know that it's happening. So it's the human paradox, as usual. We know that it's happening, but we do not want that to happen, and this is the real root of this emotional reaction, especially for anger.
Thank you. It's very clarifying. And so that's very interesting to see the perspective of the Dzogchen tradition on this type of a reaction and emotion. So is it a new phenomenon or is it inherent? And I think you answered almost the question.
No, it's brand new, for sure.
To the human condition.
Yeah, this is for sure. Human beings have emotions, so this is quite well known since a lot of millennia. And the Dzogchen view, the Dzogchen point of view about that is really clear. Human beings, like also some other beings like animals, have emotions. They are it's just part of their functioning. So the emotions in the Dzogchen tradition are divided usually in several. Like we talk about the 5 emotions, and it's more related to a tantric Buddhism way. And the Dzogchen roots texts talk about 3 main emotions: ignorance, desire, and hatred. Hatred, anger, and so on. So in the Dzogchen tradition, it's really clear, it's crystal clear. Anger is part of our way of life as human beings. Whenever we do not reach a goal that we fixed before, then we just experience anger. And anger for the Dzogchen tradition is really connected to whatever we do not want. So it's a rejection emotion. We just push away. We just do not want any condition, whatever, to be part of our life. And so we just push everything away. So for the Dzogchen tradition, this emotion, the anger, frustration, rejection, and so on, is really connected to whatever is happening outside of us. It means that usually anger is just into the direction of others, of everything that is outside. It's a way to just define the limit that is me on one side and that is everything else on the other side. And this everything else can be pleasant and also can be unpleasant for us, which is whatever thing we do not want for us. So anger is a way to be away. It's a way to do not participate, to do not be in the same condition as everything else. So it's a way to differentiate ourselves from any condition that happen in the reality. So for this topic, the huge changes we are just facing actually on Earth, one of the natural reaction for a human being is to reject that because we do not want that to happen. The other one, maybe we will see that later on, is just to flee from, just to do not acknowledge that, but just escaping from the conditions. Here, it's like I am fighting the conditions, just the idea that there is this kind of conditions, huge changes, conditions that are just impacting my life. I just don't want them to impact my life, so I just reject them.
And by rejecting, it's denial, really.
Denial, and it's a way of ignoring them, but in fighting them. And this is, as usual, this is the human paradox. For example, I am just watching TV and there is some news about, I don't know, a really high pollution area today. And I just don't want that. It means that I don't care. I will go outside, and I am not afraid about anything that this pollution will create in me. I don't care about any cancer, and I don't want, and blah 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 blah. It's the fact that there is one or more conditions that restrict my life, my freedom in life, and I do not want to acknowledge it. I just don't care. I just deny it, and I just fight the fact that, oh, maybe I shouldn't go outside if there is a peak of pollution that will create maybe in a few years a lung cancer, for example. I don't care. I just want to go outside because I decided that I have to go outside today. And this is a really spread reaction, especially concerning climate change and the conditions that will develop from it. And that's it. It's not how can I put that? It's natural. It's a natural reaction for human beings. But the main problem is that we have to acknowledge it, because if not, we are stuck in it. It means that we won't be able to find a real solution. Going outside, yes, but with this condition, I know that going outside will lead to death, maybe. So I am not trying to change things. I am just trying to remain in my habits, but things are changing everywhere else, and I try to remain without changing anything. So I am just in denial, and I am the one who is in fact impacted, because all the conditions change. I don't change anything, so I do not adapt myself to new conditions, and then I will be the one who will suffer from it, and that's it. Mm-hmm. And usually it's the result of this anger, because anger leads to the fact that I do not want things, so I do not want things to change. There is how can I say, a positive reaction from anger. That is, I am angry that nothing happens in this example, for example, in the way that a lot of things do not change according to the development of the climate change on a global scale. And I am angry that, can I say, no one do just anything about that, and I do not want this to happen. I will fight to change things, to just try to do something for this huge changes that is just created by climate change. So there is one negative, we can say there is one negative side for the situation that anger can just develop, and then we can say also there is a positive side. As usual, all these emotions just can create many conditions, and this anger about the evolution of the conditions can lead to a reaction. But usually anger lead often to a strong reaction, which are usually not the best reaction, appropriate in this situation, because usually it leads to violence, and violence just leads to more violence. So we can have reaction, and it's a way to just be in a dynamic reaction, to do something to change the evolution, the negative impact of climate change. But it has to be also balanced. It has to be a way that we can just, this is the base of the reaction, but we should be more balanced in the action we have.
Very, very, very interesting. So in order to do that, to be more balanced, what would be the proposition, I guess, of the Dzogchen on that topic? And could you share maybe with us a practice that that could help us to develop this clarity, probably.
Sure. The main thing is that usually we do not acknowledge that this kind of emotion arise into us. So the first thing is being clear about that whenever they arise. So one thing usually is easy to do. It's just monitoring my reaction, for example, in front of the TV when there is the breaking news that there is a huge event, a disaster or whatever, connected to climate change, for example. So in this way, we are more able to be aware of all the reaction I can have if I decide, okay, I put myself in front of the TV and I know I will have a reaction. So in this way, I create a space for me to be able to observe the reaction, especially connected to this topic, the climate change. And so I start to being clear with this reaction because I know that there is a link, a direct link between the news, the breaking news, and my reaction. So I can be able to observe them just to acknowledge, okay, something is rising in me, something is really, okay, I think it's anger because it's really strong, because there is all this reaction inside my body. And so first of all, we just acknowledge the reaction. Then secondly, we just have to remain in it. Whatever we do usually on a normal basis is that we are just fleeing from it. We are just trying to escape this reaction. And the best way to transform them is just to remain in it. It means that whenever they arise, we just have to stick to being concentrated on it and remaining here. And we will see that after a dozen of seconds, for example, they just decrease, they just diminish, they just fade away, yes. And then it's really a way to master them, but it has to be on the long term. So we have to repeat that in our daily life. We just need to put ourselves in front of the TV or just listening to the news at the radio, and we just practice it. And it has to be, if we want to be logical and just sticking to this topic, just whenever there is news about climate change, then we can see that there is a lot of reaction linked to that. So first step, being clear with the emotion when they arise. Then second step, just sticking with it, with the sensation that they have, we experience from them.
The bodily sensation.
Bodily sensation for mainly. And to help us with it, just focus our eyes on one point because it helps us to concentrate on it. I think we talked already in previous podcasts about that. So this is the way to do that on a daily basis. And it's quite effective.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Rinpoche, for sharing all this experience.
Thank you for listening. I hope you just didn't sleep yet.
Not yet. Not at all. And thank you, listeners, for your attention. And stay tuned for our next episode. We will discuss further this family of emotions linked to changing conditions. Thank you very much.
You can find more episodes on your website, dzogchentoday.org. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review us on your favorite podcast app and share it with your friends. We will be pleased to receive your feedbacks on podcast@dzogchentoday.org.